Joining us now is the Chief Whip of the House of Representatives. It's good to have you on the program.
Thank you very much.
Let's start with your latest political move to cross to the upper legislative chamber after spending more than 2 decades in the House of Reps. Why do you prefer the Senate this time around?
Well, the reasoning behind my decision to now go to the Senate in the 2023 election is as a result of multiplicity of factors. One is the appreciation by my people of the various services or my humble contribution towards uplifting the standard of living of my constituents, as well as the various developmental projects and empowerment programs that have succeeded in attracting to my constituency, informed their decision and the clamor on their part, so motu calling upon me to go to the Senate with a view to rendering more services to the larger senatorial district. And then the other reason is as a result of the fact that people in my constituency thought that being a fifth termer in the House of Representatives, it is high time the experiences that I garnered in the House of Representatives as a fifth termer will be of tremendous benefit to them by the time I go to the Senate.
Was it a tough task to get the ticket of the party to represent your senatorial district?
Definitely in such contest, in the contestation for power is not an invitation to a tea party. Definitely there has to be contest, but at the end of the day, all other candidates withdrew for my candidature and I was able to clinch the ticket of my party unopposed. So definitely, initially, there is the contestation to power. As I tell you, it's not an invitation to a tea party. Definitely, there has to be trials, travails, and tribulations along the line. But at the end of the day, all the stakeholders in my constituency, in their wisdom, decided to give me the ticket unopposed.
Should we also expect to see you vie for the office of Governor of Borno State in the near future?
Well, naturally, I'm not an ambitious person, and that is the main reason why I spent up to 5 consecutive terms in the House of Representatives. I'm not an ambitious politician that jumps at every election time to aspire to higher positions. My philosophy in life is that it is God that decides. It is God that decides your future. What has been predestined to happen will definitely come to pass. So I don't have any plan to be a governor of my state, but if destiny beckons upon me to be so, I wouldn't mind. But it's never my ambition to, or I will not take deliberate steps to be governor of my state. But if destiny beckons, definitely I will not look the other way.
So what has been your experience in politics so far?
Well, my experience in politics so far, I was in politics as far back as 1992 when I first came to the House of Representatives. And since then, I am in politics, occupying one position or the other. So over the years, I've seen the bad, the good, the bad, and the ugly of politics. And well, generally, politics is a journey that is punctuated with trials, travails, and tribulations. It's never a smooth journey. There are some shortcomings. There are some difficulties that you experience along the way, backstabbing, betrayals, and what have you. But once you have the capacity and more particularly the capacity to take it, you will weather the storm.
Despite your modest political successes, some people still believe politics is not for all and they consider it to be a dirty game.
Well, I will not say it's a dirty game as such. It's not a dirty game, but the only thing is that in Nigeria, politicians should learn to play by the rules. They should be magnanimous in victory and gallant in defeat. So long as Nigerian politicians are not magnanimous in victory and gallant in defeat, how long shall we continue to have challenges with our body politics? It's not a dirty game. There are people that are very, very decent in politics, people that have attained the pinnacle of their career, professionals, well-class professionals, and what have you, that have decided to offer themselves in the service of the motherland. But the only problem is that in Nigeria we should learn to play the game by the rules, and we should not take politics as a do or die affair, winning an election as a do or die affair, but we should all see it purely as a means of altruistic service to the people, and therefore we should be magnanimous in victory and gallant in defeat.
Let's talk about the impact you have made through your more than 2 decades of legislative representation in the lives of your constituents.
Well, as I told you earlier on, I have been able to attract a lot of projects. My constituency is a constituency that is arid in nature, and therefore we have a lot of problems of water supply. I've succeeded in attracting major drilling of boreholes across the nooks and crannies of my constituency, a major waterworks that has the capacity of storage of 2 million liters of water, and then 1 million liter of water reservoir that supplies my constituency. And these projects are sited in 2 local governments. I built a lot of classrooms, clinics, and a lot of empowerment programs, because my constituency is a constituency that is ravaged by the Boko Haram insurgency. As a result, people have lost their means of livelihood. They are now staying in IDP camps before. Now that they have started returning back to their respective ancestral homes to pick the pieces of their lives, it behoves on us to devise ways and means of empowering them, so that by the time they return back to their communities, they will pick the pieces of their lives. So sequel to that, and in consonance with that drive, and in identifying with the programs of our indefatigable governor, Professor Babagana Umara Zulum, who has been tirelessly working round the clock to actualize that dream, and in order to complement his vision, we have also embarked upon empowering these people that are returning back to their respective communities with a view to picking the peace.
Let's talk about insecurity. Your state seems to be having some respite from terror attacks. What has changed, and what sense of safety and security do people in your state have?
We salute the gallantry of the Nigerian armed forces, as well as the vision of Mr. President that has brought security to our region. Before, even in the wildest of my dreams, I cannot think of going to my local government, which is Monguno, but today I can go to Monguno with my 2 eyes closed. Before the advent of this administration, my local government is fully occupied by the Boko Haram insurgents, they have hosted their flags. Two-thirds of the local governments in my state has been taken over by the Boko Haram insurgents, and they have hosted their flags, effectively excising us from the Federal Republic of Nigeria. But God so kind, as a result of the vision and the leadership provided by Mr. President, as well as the gallantry displayed by the Nigerian Armed Forces, which in the process they have even paid the supreme price. We salute them for that sacrifice. Today, there is semblance of peace in my constituency. People have returned back to their respective ancestral homes and then picked their pieces of their lives. Kudos also to the effort, the zeal, and the determination displayed by our governor towards the return of the people back to their ancestral homes. So there's tremendous improvement in terms of security in my constituency compared to before the advent of this administration.
Does that mean no local government is under the siege of the terror group in the entire state?
Well, as it is now, there is only one local government that is under the control of Boko Haram, but it was liberated, I think, about 2 weeks ago. It was liberated about 2 weeks ago. A committee was set up by the state government. They visited the local government. They surveyed the local government headquarters to see the needs and what government can be done for the eventual return of the people, those people back to that local government. That local government, I think, was liberated about 2-3 weeks ago.
How do we begin to rebuild the lives of these traumatized people, especially in terms of infrastructure and source of livelihood?
Well, definitely the Boko Haram insurgency has unleashed a lot of devastation, both in terms of infrastructure, economic-wise, even social-wise into the community. And as a result of that, they are highly traumatized. These are people that have lost their means of livelihood. These are people that have been displaced, their ancestral homes. They are now staying in IDP camps. I know a lot of people that have lost their businesses, that they have lost their loved ones as a result of Boko Haram attack. So they were highly traumatized. And that is why those of us from that part of the country, our constituency project is mostly deployed towards empowerment of these people. Because they have lost their means of livelihood, they have lost everything. There is need to empower them to go back to their respective communities, start their businesses that they know, engage in farming activities to bring about the much needed resilience of the people to withstand any subsequent Boko Haram attack.
We still have a lot of residents who fled in the wake of terror attacks residing in Abuja and its environs. What more can the government do to convince them to return home?
Well, you know, under the Kampala Convention, IDPs and refugees, they are supposed to return back to their ancestral homes on their own volition. You cannot force them to return back to their ancestral homes because it is in contravention of the Kampala Convention. And that is why, in spite of the fact that conducive atmosphere and environment has been created by government for their safe return, that notwithstanding, government cannot force them to return back to their respective communities because doing so tantamounts to contravention of the Kampala Convention, which urges states to encourage the voluntary and safe return of IDPs and refugees back to their ancestral homes.
The 9th House is entering the last lap. What more should Nigerians expect?
As we wind down the 9th House of Representatives and indeed the 9th National Assembly, Nigerians should expect more robust legislations that is in tandem with their wishes and aspirations. that is going to alleviate their sufferings, as well as the Appropriation Act that is going to be presented to the National Assembly immediately we reconvene. I think the focus of the National Assembly under the 2023 Appropriation Act will be on how to alleviate the sufferings of Nigerians as a result of the high increase in cost of living occasioned by the Russia-Ukraine crisis, as well as the pandemic that we recently witnessed, which has brought about a spike in the cost of living. So the National Assembly, being a representative of the people that listen to their yearnings and aspirations, will take proactive steps to see how, through the instrumentality of the Appropriation Act, ways and means will be devised with a view to cushioning or bringing succor to the lives of Nigerians, which was occasioned as a result of the Ukraine-Russia crisis, as well as the electoral offences the commission and tribunal that is sought to be established by the National Assembly, because this one is equally very germane and relevant for the attainment of a durable democracy that is brought about through a transparent and credible elections that is devoid of thuggery, ballot stuffing and what have you, which is now will be superintended to by a commission and a tribunal that would be specifically charged by way of legislation to take care of such omissions and commissions, with a view to bringing such culprits to book as a deterrence for future offenders. Yes,